Welcome back to Introduction to Machine Learning. I'm Ludwig Bothmann, and in this video we will speak about the Bernoulli loss. The Bernoulli loss has a lot of different names, among others log, logistic, binomial and cross-entropy loss. We will see the risk minimizer for the Bernoulli loss, also the optimal constant model, the empirical optimal constant model, and we will speak about the complete separation problem with the Bernoulli loss. Let's start out with the likelihood of a Bernoulli random vector. So we assume we have a random vector with n observations, and all the observations can be either 1 or 0. If we employ the binomial distribution, we get this likelihood here, so the product of pi to the power of y times 1 minus pi to the power of 1 minus y. And of course we need the index I here, and we also make clear that we have a model that is parameterized through a vector theta with this x given theta here. Okay, if we are looking for a loss function, we can do this negative log likelihood trick. So first we transform this likelihood here into a negative log likelihood. So by employing the log, this product becomes a sum. Then this y here, the exponent, goes in front of log of pi. Same thing happens here. So 1 minus y times log of 1 minus pi. And then we just need a minus, and then we have the sum of minus y log pi minus 1 minus y log 1 minus pi. And this is then the negative log likelihood for the entire random vector of n observations. And of course this looks a lot like an empirical risk, right? So it's just the sum of the losses over the observations. And if we throw away the sum here, we get the Bernoulli loss, which is the loss for one single sample. That's then just minus y log pi minus 1 minus y log 1 minus pi. And here we dropped the conditioning of theta just for convenience. But of course, if that's a parameterized model, parameterized by theta, then we can write given theta again. Okay, so that's the Bernoulli loss. Here the same formula again. Let's look at that formula a little bit closer. If we plot this formula here, we have to distinguish between the two cases that the true target y is 0 or 1. Let's start with y equals 1, this line here. So if y equals 1, then here we have minus log pi, and this thing goes away completely, so it's just minus log of pi. So log of pi would be something like this. With a minus, this gets flipped on the other side of the x-axis. So we just have this line here. And similarly, for the other case, we have that other line here. And perhaps important part to see here is that the log loss is not bounded. So these functions here grow infinitely. So there's no upper bound on this loss, so we very harshly penalize wrong predictions. Okay, why is this a wrong prediction? So if we look at this line here, we assume that the true label is 0. But if we predict something in that area here close to 1, then we have a wrong prediction, a very wrong prediction. Wrong prediction where we are very confident that it's true, but yeah, then it's very confidently wrong, and this is harshly penalized with the log loss, not so much with the Breyer score, that is bounded. Okay, so we have these different names here: binomial log, cross-entropy loss or logistic loss, binomial loss, Bernoulli loss. If we want to encode the target variable with -1 and +1 instead of 0 and 1, then we can have this alternative version of the log loss. You can hopefully see that this is the same thing. So if we insert y here, then this is 1, that part goes away, right? Because that's 0. If we plug in 1 here, then 1 plus 1 divided by 2 is also 1. So this thing here goes away. And here 1 minus 1 is 0, so that part goes away, right? And if we do it the other way around, if we plug in 0, then we have to plug in minus 1 here. At the bottom, what happens then? This part goes away. This part here is 1, so we just have minus log of 1 minus pi. And equivalently, that part here goes away, and this here is just 1, right? So that's the same thing. What we can also do is that we do not look at the probabilities of y being 1, but at the odds or the log odds. So the odds are pi divided by 1 minus pi. Log of this thing here is then a score f. The inverse would be this formula here. I will not prove this, you can try this on your own. But if you plug this into the other loss function that we have seen before, then we get this loss here, minus yf plus log of 1 plus x of f for y is 0 or 1. I will also not prove this here. I will say here that you can look into the deep dive for these derivations, but you can also try on your own. You don't need any fancy math. You just have to make sure you are very, very careful with what you do. Take a pen and paper and just do it line by line. It can be a little bit confusing here and there because, for example, here you have x of minus f and here you have x of f, and then you have to the power of minus 1 and so on. So do it calmly and line by line, and then I'm confident that you will figure out that this is the same thing. Okay, let's have a look at the plots. Not very surprisingly, that loss here is as not bounded as the other also was not bounded. They look very similar. The difference, of course, is that these lines here go on to infinity and minus infinity because the score is not bounded to 0, 1. Can be anything in R. But on the y-axis, it can also grow to infinity. And here on the left-hand side, you just have the sigmoid function that you probably have seen before. Third way, perhaps, of writing this is in terms of margin. Remember that we called this thing here y times f the margin. And if we use the target encoding of minus 1 and plus 1 and the scoring classifier, then we have a third alternative of this loss function, or basically it's a fourth, which is in terms of the margin. And the nice thing about this is that if we plot it now in terms of the margin, we only need one curve, right? Before we needed one for the negative class and for the positive class. Now we just need the one because, well, it's in terms of the margin. And what we see here is also that, well, if we are on the positive side, which means we have classified correctly, then the loss is smaller than on the negative side. But also this grows to infinity and this converges to 0. All these loss variants are convex and differentiable, which is, of course, nice for optimization later. Okay, that's it for the loss functions, the 4 different versions of the loss function, of the log loss. Now I want to look into the risk minimizers of these loss functions. We will look at the risk minimizer on probabilities and on into the risk minimizer on scores, but we start with the risk minimizer on probabilities. We encode the target as 0 and 1. And then it turns out that the risk minimizer is exactly the true probability of y being 1 given that point in feature space. which is very nice, right? Because this means that the log loss is a proper scoring rule. For proper scoring rules, see the video on proper scoring rules. For now, we will shortly prove that that's the case, so that the risk minimizer pi star is the true probability eta. Okay, so let's start. So what we want to find is the thing that minimizes the risk. Risk is expected loss, of course, and we have seen this formula before. So just to recall this, so we have the expectation with respect to x and y. Then we can use the law of total expectation. So we have the expectation of x and then the expectation of y given x, right? And that's exactly what we do here. And the inner part here is exactly this expectation with respect to y equals x. So we have the loss if we insert 1 times the probability of y being 1, and then the same part for the other class. So if we want to minimize the risk, then we can do a pointwise minimization if we just look at the inner part. So for each value in the feature space, we can do a pointwise optimization here, and that's what we do here. So what we do now is we just insert the loss function, and then we have this part here, minus log c, that is if we insert 1 into the loss function, and minus log 1 minus c, that's if we insert 0 in that loss function. And yeah, we want to minimize this, so we take the derivative of that. Derivative is, well, the derivative of minus log c is 1 divided by minus c, of course, that's this part here. The derivative of minus log 1 minus c is 1 divided by c times minus 1, the inner derivative. So we have a plus here. Then we bring this on a common denominator, and then we solve it for c, and then we see that, well, that's pretty straightforward. I would say that just c is eta of x. Okay. So we multiply this with minus c here, with c here, and then you just have to multiply it out. And then that's it. And the, well, result is here that c is the true probability, which means, again, that the Bernoulli loss is a proper scoring rule. We can try the same thing for scores, and it turns out that the risk minimizer, if we use target encoding of -1 and +1, is the pointwise log odds, which is perhaps not that surprising, right? Because the score was the log odds. The only thing is that now for the probability, we insert the true probability. That's a nice property, of course. And, well, it's not defined if eta is equal to 0 or 1. But, well, that's hardly the case anyway, so that's not such big of a problem. This function here is monotonously increasing in eta. That's exactly 0 when eta is 0.5. So the score is 0 if the probability is 0.5. Okay, this was about the risk minimizers. Now we want to look at the optimal constant models, and in this case with respect to the empirical risk. So the empirical optimal constant models. First, for the probability model with the label 0 and 1, here it turns out that the risk minimizer for the empirical risk is just, well, the mean of y, so the fraction of the class 1 observations in the observed data, which is perhaps not that surprising because that usually is a kind of a good estimator for a true probability, right? Just taking the relative frequency. And equivalently, if we look at a scoring classifier, then we can derive an optimal score, optimal constant score, which is then just the empirical log odds, right? So this thing here is the empirical log odds, and minus and plus are numbers of negative and positive observations in the data set. Perhaps one comment on the notation here. We use theta hat here and there. This, of course, doesn't mean that these two things are equal, right? It's a slight abuse of notation, perhaps, because this risk and that risk are also not the same, because we are using different loss functions here. Okay? Great. Okay. Now, as last point, here in the chapter on Bernoulli loss, I want to speak about the optimization properties and the separation problem that we face if we use the Bernoulli loss. Complete separation means that there is some decision boundary that perfectly separates negative and positive instances. And if we look at the loss in terms of margin, you have the plot on the right-hand side again, the loss in terms of the margin, then that this is strictly decreasing in the margin, right? I think that's perhaps easy to see. If we use a model f that is linear in theta, so for example, logistic regression does this. So we say the model f is just theta transposed times x. So then the following happens. If the data is perfectly separable, this means that y times f, so the margin, which is then y times theta transposed x, is positive for all instances of the data set. So we are always here in that area, which means we only have correct classifications. They can be positive and negative, but for positive targets we have positive scores. For negative targets we have negative scores, so the margin is always positive. And the problem is now, if we have a model that gives perhaps a margin of this value here, 1.5, and if I now just say, okay, I multiply theta by 2, then the margin is multiplied by 2. So the loss is strictly lower than before, right? So this is for theta, this is for 2 times theta. So this means that the empirical risk, if I use a new theta, which is just 2 times the old theta, is strictly better than the old empirical risk, right? Because the, let's clean this up a little bit. Because the empirical risk here using this loss, gets smaller, because f is linear in theta and the loss is strictly decreasing in the margin. Okay, so if we just increase the length of theta, the sum strictly decreases because the argument of L is strictly larger. So this means as the loss is bounded from below, we have no global optimum and it cannot converge. So we just keep increasing theta again and again and again, and we never converge at any point. So this doesn't happen too often, though perhaps in practice it's not really a problem, but well, I've seen this, so it's also not never a problem. If we look at this for a 3-dimensional plot, so we have 2 features now, x1 and x2, this means that this decision boundary here, or this logistic softmax function here, gets steeper and steeper, right? So I hope you can see it. For 1 dimension it would be something like this. So this is perhaps for 2 theta, and the blue one was for theta. So the sigmoid function just gets sharper. It's increasingly sharper, so the discrimination is stronger, and well, the same thing happens, that this does not converge. We can use regularization for robust solutions, and we have a separate chapter on this. I hope to see you soon there. But of course, if we have some observations that are wrongly classified, these act as a counterweight to the increasing parameter values, and then we do not have this problem.